Welcome to Dark Souls, a game in which a myriad of deaths is just a commonplace mechanic, and for many players, the sound of you died becomes a bit too much for some. But today I'm going to try to show you some tips and tricks to help you get through the experience in Drang Lake. So once more, prepare to die, but hopefully for the last time. Today I'm going to try to teach you guys a few of the basics in terms of your basic combat strategies. Roll dodging, some parrying, which I'm not really great at, so I'm not the best teacher for this. And stamina management with your blocking, which I have found a way to really help you out with that. It's really basic, but I've noticed that a lot of players don't tend to catch on to it as quickly as others. But first we'll go with the roll dodging. As you might know, your equipment load will have a lot of impact on your rolling. Your roll speed, as well as some of your iframes, your invincibility frames, will be very dependent on the amount of equipment you're wearing. Heavier equipment loads will cause you to roll slower, obviously, and once you've reached a certain threshold, you'll actually not be able to roll at all. But even when you do reach that threshold, do note that if you have the required stats for your weapons, you will still swing your weapon at full speed, so pick and choose how you want to play, really. Now, I don't have the greatest footage for you to compare the equipment load to rolling, but just take my word for it and try to stay below 70% equipment load if you're going to try to use dodging as a viable option for your dodging. Also, within Dark Souls 2, you will notice that you now have 3 slots available to you for weapon swapping, whereas in the original Dark Souls you only had 2 weapons, the left and right hand weapon slots. Keep in mind that with the 3 weapon slots available to you now, they all go to your overall equipment load. So if you do hold all of these items on you at the same time, your equipment load will go up increasingly higher. Now, one quick little thing that they did implement within Dark Souls 2 is the dual-wielding weapon stance, which they've been coined as power stance, can be acquired by having your weapon's required stats. But for this power stance, you must have the required stats and half of the required stats. So 1.5 of your required stats to be able to utilize the power stance. Now, when you're in the power stance, to activate that, when you have both swords out or whatever you're dual wielding, hold your weapon swap button. PlayStation Triangle, for Xbox it's Y. Hold it. If you just press it, you will just swap your weapon like you normally would, one-handed, two-handed. Thing to note is that if you're right trigger, right bumper, or R1, R2, you will just do your basic right-handed attack. Your left bumper, your L1, your left trigger, and your L2, those all are your two-handed attacks. But now we'll get into a bit of stamina management. Now, one of the best ways to manage your stamina when you're in battle and you are finding yourself constantly being guard broken because you have your shield up all the time, the easiest and simplest way to get around this is to simply drop your shield for a mere second and then raise it back up. Why this is essential for you is because when you are holding your shield up, you actually regen your stamina a lot slower than you would if you did not have your shield up. Also, there is a point where your heavier equipment will also slow the rate of your stamina regen, so you've also got to manage your equipment for this reason as well. But with your shield up, you regen slower. So as you are strafing around your enemy and you really don't want to lower your guard for very long, just drop it for a second and then raise it up and keep dropping and raising. This way you are prepared for any attack, but you're also regenerating a boost of your stamina quickly in order to absorb the next shot without having your guard broken in case it does do a combo. Now, most combos will also break your guard if you try to block the full combo, so keep that in mind and try to pick and choose when you're going to block and when you're going to roll. But let's take a look here and notice how the stamina regen is getting a burst of speed in the regeneration. And this is due to, as I mentioned, was just dropping your shield momentarily and then raising it back up. And right now the pig's not going to do too much to me, hopefully. But as you can see, this is a really great way of maintaining your stamina. And this would be really helpful in a situation where if you were getting wailed on a bit and your stamina was getting excessively low, and you do realize that the next attack will probably put you into a guard break position, then if you get this burst of speed by just dropping your shield before the next attack, you've got this potential to regen enough stamina to actually block the attack without being guard broken. And this is important in most cases where the enemy is quicker on the next strike, and you do not want to risk the chance of being open for a combo or simply just the follow-up attack if you got guard broke within the halfway point of the combo. So you really just don't want to be open for that final blow or anything like that. But also this is kind of important in the fact that if you've been roll dodging out of the way and your stamina is low just due to that, and you get out of your dodge with the shield up and you realize that your stamina is regening so slow, drop it and let it regen just a little bit more. And this way you've either got enough stamina to do a counterattack, block, or another roll dodge if necessary. So this is just the importance of the stamina management. So this is a really good trick if you find yourself being constantly guard broken or just continually pulverized by the enemies. So you just need to keep a balance of blocking and dodging, and a lot of your attacks will be, of course, counterattacks. Until you get really comfortable with the memorization of an enemy, you really want to be on the counter. But another thing you're going to want to try to do is, if you're not very good at your roll dodging, is you're going to want to try to find an enemy that you know can't just kill you instantly. Find like the weakest Dregling or Knight or whatever they're calling them within this game, and just kind of let them wail at you. And get your roll dodging down, and you kind of figure out where your iframes are within the animation. And it might not be very apparent to begin with, but as you do it more and more, you will start to notice that when you can dodge and take no damage, and as well as when you'll dodge and take mitigated damage, because there's a certain point where you won't take the full damage of the attack that you get when you roll dodge, but you will take maybe about 50% of the damage. You'll also want to do this kind of training with your parrying, which I am horrible at. I really should not be teaching this, but parrying can be quite useful to the player. So just kind of practice up on your parrying. Like I said, I should not be teaching this. I'm still horrible at it. But yeah, go ahead and practice that. And do keep in mind that a lot of your weapons have kind of a sweet spot where you'll get the most damage. And what I mean by that is, let's look at an axe. If you're in the middle of the animation for your attack and you technically would be hitting the enemy with the handle of the axe, you won't get the full damage as if you got the enemy with the actual bladed end of the axe, which would be the main damage dealing portion of the weapon if you actually thought about it. So if you can get those frames down to where you are hitting within that area, you will do a lot better. For now, this is all the information I've got to share with you on the subject. Hopefully, if things go right, I can get you some more information. But for now, I believe that's just going to have to do it. Alright guys, this is Corruption. I hope this is at least hopeful to somebody. Good luck out there, and I hope to see you all enjoying Lake sometime soon.